live for another episode of Freedom Fridays with Dana Lee. I'm your host, Dana Lee. I am a diet recovery coach who helps women heal in mind, body, and spirit from decades of dieting damage. If you're here with me live, say hello. I'm pulling you up on my phone as well, just to make sure I catch all the comments and I can see who is with me live. Say hello, hello. I'm here on Facebook in my Facebook Life Beyond Dieting group. I am also live on my YouTube channel. So we are going to be talking about people pleasing today. It's a pretty big topic. It's one that I've really wanted to talk about for a while now. It's been on my list, and I have a feeling this isn't my last time I'll be talking about people pleasing. So if you are a people pleaser, please please me and say hello and let me know if you have found yourself, or do you label yourself a people pleaser, or have you in the past? I know a lot of my clients are recovering people pleasers. So hi Paulina, good to see you. Cindy, hello. Awesome. So let's dive right in. So I wanted to talk about people pleasing because my specialty is that I help women heal their relationship with food, right? It's emotional eating, binge eating, compulsive eating, all sorts of weirdness that has happened around our need to diet and desire to lose weight. The side effect from that can end up with years and years of dysfunctional relationship with food. So today I want to talk about people pleasing because this is a huge element in our lives as women in our society. It's mostly women. Not saying that men can't fall into some people pleasing roles in their life. They certainly can. But I feel like women as a whole, or if you identify as a woman, you're definitely more subjected to this submissive type of making sure everybody else is happy before yourself. And I believe a strong part of that is our biology as like taking on a mother role. Very nurturing, motherly, has a tendency to we need to do that for our offspring to make sure that they survive and that they're taken care of. So there's a reason it's in our biology. However, it's also something that is a very learned behavior. And people pleasing, I feel like there are things that come up for me even today that I have to check myself. Like, am I doing this just because I care so much about the acceptance and approval of others? Or am I doing this because it's really something that I'm just giving from my heart and it feels good to serve and to give? I'm always checking in with myself with those things. I feel like that kind of people pleasing trait and quality that ends up developing and can take over your life requires many, many years to undo and to iron out and to sort through. And it's not something that you can ever do alone. That's why I have my Mind Fit mentorship. That's why I have a group of women that I work with, and we work together to look at some of this stuff, because it's such a conditioned way of being that sometimes we don't even know that we're doing it. And it takes talking about it to figure out, really, to make any sense of it, to decide, is this something that's actually serving me, or is this something that's hurting me? So the reason I want to talk about people pleasing in relation to emotional eating and binge eating is that emotional eating and binge eating and all sorts of other ways that we manipulate food is a side effect and a coping mechanism because of our suppression of how we're really feeling, and when it comes to pleasing others and not pleasing ourselves. Okay, so this is something that may not feel as obvious on the front end of it, but once we talk about it today and sort through some of it, and please have a notebook, have a pencil, have your journal. You never know in our Freedom Fridays what is going to be unlocked and what connection you're going to make, that maybe you've been doing a lot of work on people pleasing in the past and you've really understood this as a characteristic, like, okay, now I'm really starting to sacrifice a lot of things, like I don't even know what I want in my life, kind of a thing. So maybe something in today's conversation can help put a piece of the puzzle in for you. And if that is the case, I'd really love to hear from you. If not, on our in the comments here, also send me a direct message. I love to hear from you anytime any of my messages hit. I love that also when I send an email out about a topic, I often get personal replies to expand upon whatever that topic is. So please keep that coming, because I really want to be in the conversation with you. So thank you. All right. So first of all, people pleasing is a learned behavior for the most part. Yes, like I shared, there's some biology in there, obviously, like as women having babies, but so I haven't had babies. I'm not a mom. So how is it that behavior is still something that's been ingrained in me, even though I am not actually a mother? So isn't that interesting? It's somehow a role that is can be pushed on by society and our families, and we learn by watching others. Okay, so you're going to learn by watching your own mother, your own grandmother, even in the dynamic between your parents, between your siblings. Lots of ways you get the messages of it's not okay for me to speak up for what I want. It is safer for me and my family to make sure everybody else is happy, okay, feels good, so so let me know if any of this stuff is resonating with you. Okay, good. Wait, I'm glad I pulled my phone up here. So yes. Colleen said, "What is this people pleasing? I've never heard of it." Yeah, just kidding. That's me. I know. It's yeah. I don't even know. I don't know of any woman in my life that isn't somehow affected by this characteristic. And I'm going to call it characteristic because once you realize, oh, this is part of my personality. You don't have to identify as a people pleaser. That can start to unlock and start to resolve. So, hi, Kim. Hello. Yes. Cindy says people pleasing is sometimes I have to continually check in on. Cindy, I'm with you. So before I go any further, I wanted to also say this. So what is happening now in Ukraine is heartbreaking. And so the reason I want to bring this up is because even I have to check myself, right? So I'm like, okay, so this is happening in our world. This is a horrendous thing that's happening. And here's my Freedom Friday. I'm supposed to go live and talk about this. I want to do this for my community. I want to be sensitive to the world and what's happening around the world. I don't even know all the answers for that. So here I decided I'm going to go live and I'm going to talk about this thing because I can still hold Ukraine in my heart and all the people who are affected in both Ukraine and in Russia who are like, what the fuck is happening in the world, and feel, that this, their country is being taken away from them. And I can hold that in my heart and really send them love and prayers and all of that for peace. And in this part of the world where I'm living, I still have to keep showing up and doing my part. Not that I have to, I want to keep, this is why I want to bring this up with people pleasing and how I can kind of sort through and how I work through it. I want to continue to do my part in healing the world. So if I don't go live on this Freedom Friday and I'm not able to continually move this conversation forward and help women heal their relationship with food and therefore their relationship with themselves, and therefore then they can go on to put their skills and gifts out into the world and make a greater impact. To me, the work that I do is for humanity. So that's what pulls me beyond, like, am I just pleasing my audience because I said I'd go live at 11 a.m. on Friday and there's this horrendous thing that's happening in the world and I want to be sensitive to it. And how do I work through that? So I redirected to say, and what can I do to change the world? And the thing I can do that's going to help me feel really good about, the power I can take back and the impact I can make is to talk about people pleasing and to help you heal the relationship you have with food, because this is a big distraction. The food issues, right? How much energy are you spending on a daily basis with you're concerned about what you're eating next. Did you eat too much? Did you eat too little? If that can be resolved and healed, you have so much energy then that can be put into healing the world. Like I am able to do my part to heal the world in whatever your mess is your message. So whatever that is that you have been through in your life, it's for a reason. And should you decide to work with me in the mentorship, we go into that as to sort through some of that to make sense of it, to understand why has this happened in my life. So women come to me to try to heal their relationship with food, but it is so much more than that. It's healing the connection that they have with themselves and building their confidence and finding their voice to get out in the world and do their part, right? I have right here in front of me, it's on my entertainment center right here above my TV. It's be the change you want to see in the world, because that to me is the message that instead of me pointing the fingers, of course I'm pointing the finger to my to my quote on my entertainment center, but that to me feeds me with redirecting. What can I do? Okay, this is happening. What can I do? So I continue to stay in my power. All right, so back to people pleasing. All right, and I just want to skim here and make sure I'm not missing any. All right. Even to my dogs. People please, your dogs are more important than you, right, Kim? Okay, so yes, the ripple effect. Exactly. So what can I do to then ripple out to impact others? And that is how I made the decision. I'm going to go live today anyway. And I can still be sensitive to what's going on in the world. And this is how I see doing my part to heal the world in my own little neck of the woods, right? That ends up having a global impact because I connect with people through my YouTube channel, through Facebook, through all around the world. All right. So the thing, I want to share a few things with you about people pleasing and the kind of the cycle that we get stuck in and why we go to food to help mend our people pleasing behavior. And that's how you can get caught in this vicious cycle. The other thing I want to share today is a juicy email that was sent to me to try to get me to tame myself, like to suppress who I really am. And I was able to, within a 20-minute period, read this email. Basically, the email told me I should stop swearing in my videos and in my marketing messages. And I want to talk about this, and I'm going to read the email. I'm not going to say who it was from, but I'm going to read the email and my response, because what I want to do for you in my community is show you how there's a way for you to communicate how you feel and to stick up for yourself without steamrolling others, without putting them in the defensive, and with you. It's a practice in communication. Okay. So here are a few things I want to share about people pleasing first, and then I'm going to share this juicy email, Dana, stop swearing, and how I was like, fuck that. So, all right. So first of all, the thing about people pleasing, it's a way that we have learned to fit in. So I want you to first see people pleasing as a way that it's served you really well. Okay, so there could be, I don't know, are you at a point in your life that I really wish I would stop doing this? I'm not sure where you're at with that. If it's like, I still feel like it's a badge of honor and I feel really good about this, I'm this way and I feel proud of it. Or are you starting to see that you're saying yes more to others when you really want to be saying no? So there's a boundary issue there too. Boundaries is a whole nother video I'll do. But the truth is, learning how to behave in this way to please others has also served you really well in your life. The ways has served you well is that there's like kindness, thinking about others. There is something to be said for keeping the peace, but we're going to talk about that in a little. We'll see if we can get to that in today's video. Again, why do I have a mentorship that's a 12-month program? Because this stuff is deep. This stuff is layered and deep. So we really have, although this is a learned behavior for the most part, it's there because it has helped us feel safe in our families. Like, okay, I'm going to learn. This is how I see how I fit in, how I fit in my family. How do I fit into society? This is how things work. This is how I life. This is how I interact with others. This is how I can move up in the world. If I can keep others happy, I can keep climbing that ladder. Right. So there is definitely some pros to this. So I don't want you to walk away from this video feeling like it's a terrible thing, to be a people pleaser, because it's not. It has served you really well. It served me well. It is, so there's ways to look at any characteristic in our personality and find pros to it and find cons to it, that there's a balance, right? And it's just about keeping it in check. Then that's something like even Cindy shared, and Cindy's a client of mine, that we're constantly assessing that. We're constantly assessing, like, am I saying yes because of this old behavior, or am I saying yes because it's something I really want? So there are some side effects, however, right? That once you are perpetually pleasing others, and let's just say you have to go through a couple decades to really learn that the side effects are maybe at this point detrimental. So one of the side effects is that we learn that other people's happiness is more important than our own. Okay. So I have 6 things written down here. If more come to me. So I know last week we talked about 6 steps to building a healthier relationship with exercise. It just so happened I came up with another 6. I'm like, as I'm pouring this out of me. So it may be more than 6 today. So other people's happiness is more important than our own. So let me know, comment, thumbs up, give me something. Like, is that something that you have learned? And have you conditioned to see, like, well, what I want isn't as important, right? That can be a possibility. And I'm going to take a sip of water because I'm talking a lot. All right. So that's the first one. Others' happiness is more important than our own. Yeah. So that's something that ends up becoming like repeated over and over as we witness and we start to play into this behavior. It becomes clearer and clearer. This is a belief that we take on. It doesn't mean the belief is true. It means that it's a belief we're taking on as our reality. Oh, everybody else's happiness is more important than our own. Okay, so yeah, Colleen said yes. So number 2, when you speak up for yourself, you are considered a bitch or unladylike. So that can also be that's what I mean by you don't feel safe. Like if I stay in this making other people happy role, and if I step out of that role, then I see how people don't like that very much. I'm a bitch. I'm not ladylike, right? So this is why I want to share my email about someone telling me I should stop swearing. I should stop saying fuck in my videos and in my marketing messages, even though anyone who's known me since I was a teenager and I'm 45, I've dropped the F-bomb. Ain't changing anytime soon. It is very on brand for Dana Lee. Tanya says, I'm willing to put some people's happiness above mine, but not everyone's, and not all the time. That's good. That is an excellent thing to recognize, Tanya. Thank you for sharing that, because I feel like a step in the healing process of really checking yourself around that. It's like, okay, there's certain people that like my husband's happiness is important, right? So it's his happiness and my happiness. It's not this or that. And then there's other people that I'm like, yeah, it's for them to figure out, right? And then not all the time. I love that too. What a great point to bring up, right? So it's like your mind, you can be discerning situation to situation and reevaluate. That's what we constantly have to do. Okay, so number 3, it becomes really hard to discern what it is you want in life, and decisions become difficult. So if you're constantly in this, everybody else's happiness is more important than mine. I'm just going to go with the flow. I don't want to cause waves. I don't want to rock the boat. What happens is over time, you lose the ability to really even know what it is you want. If you had done the Roadmap to Food Freedom event with me last month, and even if you haven't, what I have my clients do, even in the mentorship work, is go through a very, very important step, which is visualizing what it is they want in their everyday, like their ideal day, and what they want in their life. And when you are a perpetual people pleaser, that exercise is very, very difficult, because it's so like I don't even know what I want, because I'm so busy being focused on what others want. So it takes time to refine that. So this is just a side effect, just for you to be aware of. Oh, that's why I have a hard time making decisions. Oh, that's why I don't really, like, my future kind of seems blurry and it's not very clear, and I don't really, know which direction I want to go. It seems like very like you can go in 10 different directions, right? That's because it's the side effect of being a perpetual people pleaser your whole life. It's normal then for you to kind of numb out and not know what it is you want to go for in life. Totally normal. Okay, number 4, if decisions are difficult, then others take the lead and it becomes a perpetual cycle. So here's where the trap kind of comes in, right? So it's like, I mean, let's just take food and going out to dinner. Oh, it's fine. Wherever you want to go, wherever you want to go, it's fine with me. Yet deep down, you're kind of like, well, I didn't really want Italian tonight, but okay, I don't want to say anything. So what'll happen is it's like an echo chamber, and it continues to perpetuate the cycle, because the other people in your life kind of fall into those roles of being the decision makers. And then it's harder and harder for you to actually speak up and say what it is you want, even if it's just a fucking restaurant. And it's not even something that's like a life-changing decision, right? It could be something very, very simple. It could be, oh, we have 2 different ways to go home from the restaurant. Which way do you want to go? Do you want to take the back roads, or you want to take the highway? Oh, I don't care. Oh, I don't care. Well, what if you picked some simple decisions like that, and then that's how you actually can start to build up and also teach others that you do know what it is you want, and that you can speak up for yourself. Okay, so it's little by little by little, in the smallest things that seem like they don't really count or don't really matter, they do, because it's going to start to give you confidence that, oh, maybe I do know what it is I want, and maybe I'm less afraid of making the wrong decision. Oh, that's another one. So I'm going to add 7 here, because another side effect is you become afraid that whatever decision you make is going to be the wrong decision. And that took me years to work through. And yet again, why I have a mentorship, because it is like a constant weeding through of like, I'm really afraid to make a decision. Is this the right decision? Is this the wrong decision? And then you stall out, and not making a decision is making a decision, my friends. Okay, so then that brings us to, I guess at this point, then we're at, that would be 5. Number 6, we value fitting in more than being ourselves. We value fitting in more than being ourselves. That's a big one. This is a big one. And I'm going to be getting to the connection of emotional eating and binge eating in a moment. Yeah. So Colleen said, oh my God, I'm going through this now. Isn't that interesting, right? Timely topic. I'm a vibe. Once again, my decision today is like, what does my community really, really need? And then that's where I can step up and I can serve, because I just feel like this is such a pain point for so many women in this community and so many of my clients. So, I'm happy that you're hearing this at another level, Colleen. Fabulous. Okay. Number 7, it can result in passive aggressive responses because you haven't felt safe expressing yourself or sticking up for yourself. So passive aggressiveness does not feel good on either side of the party, right? It's not something that I enjoy. I have very little tolerance for it, because I've worked so hard in finding my own words to be very clear. If you're upset with me on something, fucking say it. Like, don't be all weird with like passive aggressiveness is it can ruin a relationship because it makes both parties feel unsafe. And then it doesn't feel good to be in that friendship. It doesn't feel good to be in that relationship. It feels much better when you're able to use your words and say, this happened and my feelings were hurt. And until you get to that point, whatever that dynamic in that friendship or that relationship, it could never really be intimate and close and really be connected, because there are things that you really need to say. And instead of finding the right words to say them, there's this underlying tone of aggression instead of an outward speaking of this hurt my feelings and I'm angry. Right. So this leads me to, so if there's a result in some other behavior like passive aggressiveness, the other result, so I guess this brings me really to number 8, is that the reason we're coming together in this group is that a huge result from people pleasing behavior is binge eating and emotional eating. And why does that happen? So if I shared a lot of this with you already about not being able to speak up for yourself, you don't know the decisions to make in your life. You're afraid to make the right decision versus the wrong decision. That is a very uncomfortable place to live. And it is you shutting off expressing your true self. And the reason you're going to food is because that feeling does not feel good. So I'm going to go to food for this temporary fix of, I don't know how to resolve this. I don't know how to use my voice. I don't know how to express myself. So I'm going to eat because that temporary fix of food is like a dopamine hit, and it will help you numb out. It can help you disassociate. It can help you escape for a little while, right? So it's like, I know I said yes to this thing I really don't want to do. Well, I'm going to go and eat. This could be a very subconscious thing. That's why we're talking about this consciously, because I really, as like kind of your homework here is about going into, and we're coming up on the half an hour. So I want to make sure that, I'm sensitive to your time, but that, you're using this next week or so to try to correlate those behaviors. Where is it I'm saying yes when I really deep inside want to say no? And can you make a correlation between reaching for food when you're not hungry, or overeating, or feeling that compulsion to eat that feels so out of control? Can you identify how often you put others before yourself? And that has to go somewhere. If you're not expressing yourself, if you're not dealing with that, it has to go somewhere. It gets suppressed. And then when it's suppressed and we don't know what to do with it, we use coping mechanisms like food and alcohol and shopping and gambling and sex addiction and drugs and social media, all these different ways, because dealing with the actual using of our voice and sticking up for ourselves is way too hard. So instead, I'm just going to turn to food. I'm just going to turn to buying more shit that I don't need. I'm going to turn to, because it's a temporary fix, but it actually just complicates the situation. Okay. So you guys with me? All right. So Cindy said, I've experienced the reverse. I want to eat a slice of cake or a cupcake or whatever, but I didn't because everyone would judge. My mother used to slap me under the table when she thought I was eating too much. Guests used to tell me, you're not allowed to have a slice of cake because your parents told me to keep sweets away from you. Feeling so ashamed of myself, I would binge eat on all the sugar, like a fuck you to everyone that was judging me. But I ended up just fucking myself. Exactly. And that's a painful lesson, right, Sindhu? But here's the thing. Even in that situation, like that in itself was a people-pleasing thing. You were being scolded at from a young age. Don't eat the cupcake. Don't have the cake, right? Literally being yelled at. Yet there was like, you'll fall in line. I'm going to fall in line. And in this moment, then, not eating that or rebelling in some way, right? Like, so I'm because I'm being forced to make everybody else happy, the pendulum swings. So that's the other side effect that will happen. So hence the pendulum has got to swing, right? So how can we find the middle ground? All right, so we're at our 30-minute mark. However, I did promise you a juicy email and response, because this is very much on topic with falling in line and being conditioned by our society what is the proper way to behave, which is what is not the proper way to behave. And I wanted to share this with you because it's a real life thing that happened a couple weeks ago. It happened in the middle actually in the middle of my roadmap to food freedom, and I ended up using it as a teaching lesson in on day 4, where I was talking specifically about food and diet culture and the impacts of diet culture. So diet culture is basically the messages from all over that however you are, it's not good enough. So that is definitely part of where we're learning our people pleasing, because if we're getting messages however you are is not good enough, we go above and beyond to try to fit in and please others. But the thing is, if you're trying to please everyone, it's the quickest way to fail and to please no one at all, not even yourself. So that's something that's really, really important. And I'm going to reiterate here in a moment. Okay, so if you can stick around for a few more minutes, just get into the juicy part. Okay, so I started promoting this event. A bunch of people enrolled. It's really exciting. There's a lot of new people introduced to me, like new to my world and whatnot. Meanwhile, I've been doing video and on YouTube since 2012. However, new people to my community, getting to know me and whatnot. So she says, "Hi, Dana. I'm listening to your Facebook Live broadcast now. You have a lot of wonderful experience and enthusiasm to offer, but I feel compelled to share one observation. If you want to appeal to a broader audience, especially the over 50, you might want to omit the F word in your writing and speaking. You can convey all you want to share without using offensive language. There are so many more descriptive words and adjectives that show your intelligence and reflect your wonderful gifts. I've coached lots of people in public speaking, and this is one area that people misunderstand the most. Your ability to relate to your greatest audience is to project yourself with authenticity, authority, empathy, and accessibility. Check, 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 check. All of which is best accomplished without foul, offensive, or slang language. Is it though? I hope you accept this in the spirit in which it is offered. Wishing you continued growth and success in your business. You have wonderful gifts and lots to offer. Thank you, C." I won't tell you her name. So I read this. First of all, I want you to know that I read this and there was nothing in this email that triggered me. There was nothing that I was upset about or offended by in any way. So that is just to show you that the work that I do with my clients in the mentorship truly heals and resolves from within. So if I took offense to anything that she said, like the authenticity, authority, empathy, accessibility, I do all those things. There's nothing for me to defend or get upset about, because all of those things are in my brand and in my message and have been for years. And I'm one of the greatest compliments I get from people is my accessibility, that they feel that they can really relate to me. And that I literally hear from women all around the world personally. So there's this level of accessibility that is like, oh my God, Dana's one of me. She gets me. And so that's interesting that, this is her perspective. So this is a woman who helps speakers. So maybe she was trying to get my business, right? However, she signed up to heal her relationship with food, right? I connected with her on this Nextdoor app. She lives local to me. I put it out there, hey, I'm doing this free online event to help women heal their relationship with food. She said, sign me up. So maybe she's like, ooh, this could be a potential client of mine who does speaking events. Maybe. Or there's a part of her that is really looking to heal this relationship with food. It Could be. I don't know. Unfortunately, she didn't respond to me after my email back to her, which I'm about to read. I want to read it to you because I composed this email like within a 20-minute period. There was nothing she said to me that I felt upset about or offended by in the slightest. I'm able to see, because like even in my mentorship coursework I do with my clients, there's an entire module on judgment and being criticized by others, criticizing others, the whole role of judgment and how we see the world. So I can tell this is how she sees the world. This is her limiting beliefs. That's what she's basically revealing to me, but she doesn't know it. So I already know that because I'm an expert at this. This is what I do. Okay, so I replied and said, "Hi, C, I hear ya. And thank you for your kind words. Here's the thing. How I talk is how I talk. I'm the real deal. I'm a 45-year-old chick from Jersey, and I'm unapologetic about who I am and how I got to where I am. How I talk is actually part of my brand and how I attract my people. I have a very strong history in marketing. I know exactly what I'm doing. It is very intentional. I don't feel like it's morally right to be all clean and shiny on the outside. And then when you get into actually work with me as your mentor and I start swearing, you're going to be like, what the hell? And I'm going to be like, what the fuck? It's weird. It's awkward and uncomfortable for you. I'd rather you know that from the start. Spoiler alert, 99% of my clients swear. So they have specifically told me that's one of the ways they felt they could actually feel comfortable with me and not judged. Here's another thing, very important. You might want to write this one down. It's okay that I'm not the coach for everyone. I learned a long time ago, trying to make everyone happy is the fastest way to fail. And it's also the fastest way to crushing your soul in the process. True story. I do appreciate your feedback. I know you're coming with good intentions, but to ask me to be someone I'm not is not healthy for my mental or emotional health. And this is another part that's really important for you to hear. I help women heal their emotional eating. And so much of that stems from how they have to suppress who they are to fit into society molds, family standards, and what is acceptable. I am a leader. I lead by example. So no fucking way am I going to suppress how I naturally communicate with my people. If it turns you off and away from doing this work with me, I completely understand, and my feelings will never be hurt from that decision. Trust there is another guide out there that is far better leader for the next step in your journey. Dana Lee. So that is the correspondence, and unfortunately, she didn't reply. So I couldn't continue the conversation to really understand what her intentions were. I hope she heard what I had to say, because even in her trying, even if she's well-intentioned in saying to her clients that most of her public speaking clients they misunderstand, I think unfortunately she's misunderstanding. She's not getting that. And it's funny because since this happened, I've had this conversation with a few of my clients and in the roadmap to food freedom a few weeks ago. And the thing is, like we've kind of joked around, because I dropped the F-bomb, it's like, oh, she's my people. So when we first met our accountant that we're working with now, my husband and I, in our first meeting, our accountant dropped the F-bomb. And it was like, this dude's hired. That was back in 2000 and when did we hire him? 2012, 2011, something like that. It was a long time ago. And I've been with him ever since. He's our people. You know, like I feel like comfortable. Like I'm a chick from Jersey. I've been through a lot of bullshit in my life, a lot of really, really hard things. I lost a boyfriend to a heroin addiction and he committed suicide. Steve and I lost a business. We've lost a home. We've gone through a lot of pain and struggle. That comes with F-bombs. I don't know, it just does. So I feel like if that's important to you, then I'm definitely not the coach for you. Definitely not. And that's okay. I'm not meant to be the coach for everyone. And I want you to get that. You're not on this planet to please everybody else. You're on this planet to live from to understand who you really are and how to show up so then you can really serve the world in the best manner. Just like I shared with you today, my decision to go live, even though this stuff is happening in the world, it's really hard and really difficult and very hard to look at, and all of that stuff is happening, and yet I can still honor myself and figure out where my place is and how I can serve and how I can heal. I can have my part to heal the world. And that is important to me. And the reason I can do that is because I've sorted through a lot of all this other food stuff. So that doesn't get in my way anymore. And now I can really see what's going on. So I'm no longer caught in that perpetual cycle. So thank you for listening in. And and I just, so Kim said, great info. Thank you. You're so welcome. You are so welcome. Deb says, love you for being who you are. Love you too, Deb. And Tanya, you always sound pretty fucking authentic to me, says Tanya. Yeah, fucking ain't right. I am. Like, what you see is what you get. And I'm not at my studio now, but I could, if I was at my studio, I could show you my wall of fame and all of many of my clients who have flown into Jersey, who traveled from all over the world to come visit me in real life. And in real life, I am just like I am in my videos. And they say it to me over and over and over again. And that is by design in my marketing and my messaging and how I speak. What you see is what you get. I promise that. And if I'm able to show up and be who I am, and I'm getting paid for being who I am because I've been able to build an entire life and a business around it, you can do it too. But the only way you could do it is if you get over your food bullshit. Got to get over the emotional eating and the binge eating and looking at that. So let me help you resolve that, because that way you can live the decades ahead of you in freedom. So if you want to talk about it, let's do it over coffee, like a virtual coffee, really easy going, no pressure. Yes, I have my mentorship. We don't even have to talk about that if you don't want. 30 minutes to talk about what the heck is going on, where you need a breakthrough, and then we can figure out, would the next step be my program or would it be something else? So I set up a page, realfit.tv/coffee. And if you put your name and email in, the number one thing that is paining you right now, which I'm guessing is probably somewhere around the people pleasing, and a few days and times that will work for you. I'm Eastern Standard Time. I'm in New Jersey, right outside of Manhattan. So I'm on the East Coast, but let me know where you are and we will figure out a time to be able to talk. Now, this is open to people who have not worked with me yet. Okay, so if you're a client of mine, we have access and we work together all the time in our group calls, and there's private calls and all that other stuff. So if you're new to me and you're trying to figure out this, how do I heal this? How does this look? What exactly? Tell me more about this people pleasing thing. Then let's set up a time to have a little virtual coffee or tea, whatever it is you want. And we'll have some conversation over it. Okay. All right. Fabulous. Have a wonderful rest of the day, you guys. I really look forward to hearing my replay viewers and their comments and anything else that comes to you. And always feel free to private message me. I want to hear from you. Sometimes these stories can be really sensitive. You may not want to share on social media, and I totally understand that. So always if we connect on Facebook as like Facebook friends, you can always send me a direct message. Okay. And on YouTube, I don't know if you can send a direct message on YouTube. I think you can, but I got to get back into YouTube and find out. Hey, listen, I'm going live every Friday. That's got to be good enough for now. Okay. I'll figure out more as we go. All right. Have a great rest of the day. And I look forward to having coffee with you. Bye.